Hello and welcome to the My School channel. My name is Angela, and in this video we're going to continue the government topic by topic video lesson. So we're going to continue the topic political parties in Nigeria. In the first part of the video lesson, we discussed the pre- and post-World War II political parties in Nigeria. Now we're moving on to the second Republican political parties. So please stay with us, don't go anywhere, we'll be right back. Welcome back to the My School channel. Like I said earlier, we're moving on to the second Republican political parties. So let's dive right into it. So the Second Republic of Nigeria between 1979 and 1983 marked the return of civilian rule following years of military governance after the First Republic was overthrown in 1966. So between 1966 and 1979, we had so many different military regimes during that period, and during that time, political parties were not allowed to exist. The constitution was suspended, and there was no form of political association during that period. So it was not until Olusegun Obasanjo was about to hand over power to civilian rule that new political parties developed within the country. So the 1979 constitution introduced a presidential system of government that replaced the parliamentary system of the First Republic. So between 1959 and 1963, we were practicing a parliamentary system of government. We had a president and a prime minister. But now under this new constitution, we had the presidential system of government. The president that was about to be elected would be both head of state and head of government at that time. So as a result, new political parties needed to be formed to contest the general elections. So the major political parties of the Second Republic were the National Party of Nigeria, or NPN, the Unity Party of Nigeria, or UPN, the Nigerian People's Party, the People's Redemption Party, or PRP, the Great Nigerian People's Party, or GNPP, and the Nigerian Advanced Party, or NAP. So the major political parties at that time were the National Party of Nigeria, the Unity Party of Nigeria, and the Nigerian People's Party. These other political parties were minor political parties and did not win major seats at that time. So let's begin with the National Party of Nigeria. So the National Party of Nigeria was formed in 1978 and can be seen as an offshoot of the Northern People's Congress, or NPC. So it was formed in 1978, just when Olusegun Obasanjo is about to hand over power to civilian rule. So it was during that time that political parties were allowed to exist within the Nigerian society. And so this was one of the first political parties that were formed during that period. And so it is seen as an offshoot of the Northern People's Congress. Remember, the NPC is one of the major political parties during the post-World War II era, and it was representative of the northern region in Nigeria. So this National Party of Nigeria is seen as an offshoot of that political party. So the key political figures include Alhaji Shehu Shagari, Adamu Siroma, Adisa Akinloye, Ali Mongonu, Dr. K.O. Mbadigwe, and so on. So like the NPC, they were politically conservative, but unlike the NPC, they had a national outlook. So during that period, most of the political parties that were formed were trying to have a national outlook. They were trying to gain a national audience. They wanted members from different parts of the country. The reason for this is to ensure that they will be able to get enough people to vote for their political party. Now that they were adopting a presidential system of government, they had to gain votes from different parts of the country in order to win that presidential seat. And if they do not have a national outlook, they will not be able to get that seat. So the NPN won the 1979 general election, making Shehu Shagari the first executive president of Nigeria. And the party also won governorship seats in several states, especially in the north and the middle belt. So they also won the 1983 general elections. So these were the two major elections that took place during the Second Republic, and they were able to win the presidential seat at both elections. However, the party was eventually overthrown by the military coup of December 31st, 1983, led by Major General Muhammadu Buhari. Let's move on to the next slide. Alright, so the objectives of the National Party of Nigeria includes to develop an enviable housing scheme for all at both urban and rural settings, to achieve self-reliance in the agricultural sector, and to develop a strong industrial base with equal opportunities for all. So we can see that they were really invested in ensuring that there is more housing within the Nigerian society, and also the development of the agricultural sector. They wanted to put a lot of resources into the agricultural sector, given that that sector had been suffering a lot of decline after the oil boom of the 1970s. So they also had the objective to show respect to the provisions of the Constitution. So some of the achievements of this political party is that they introduced an ambitious green revolution agricultural program that was pursued to some extent. Again, it was as a result of that oil boom. There was a decline in oil revenue because the prices of oil crashed. So they had to look to other sectors of the economy to increase the revenue of the country. And so they had to focus on agriculture to ensure that they are able to get enough revenue to continue the day-to-day affairs of the country. They also expanded infrastructure, including roads, housing, and industries, and they maintained national stability in the early years. However, some of their weaknesses include allegations of widespread corruption and mismanagement, failed economic policies leading to hardship, and electoral malpractice claims, especially in the 1983 elections. Now let's move on to the next slide. Now we're going to discuss the Unity Party of Nigeria. The Unity Party of Nigeria was formed in 1978 as well by Chief Ajasi, Chief Bola Ige, Professor Ambrose Ali, Chief MCK Ajuluchuku, and Alhaji Lateef Jakonde, as well as so many other people. So Chief Obafemi Awolowo was the presidential candidate for the Unity Party of Nigeria. So it was after he had gotten out of prison. So between the late 1960s and early 1970s, he was in prison as a result of inciting violence during the rule of Nnamdi Azikiwe and Alhaji Tafawa Balewa. However, when he got out of prison, he became the presidential candidate for this political party. So the party's ideology was democratic socialism, and they focused on regional development. So this was their primary focus, developing a particular region, and that is the western region within the country. So the UPN won governorship elections in Lagos, Ogun, Oyo, Ondo, and Bendel states, and became the dominant party in the southwest. However, the party was dissolved following the 1983 coup. Now let's move on to the next slide. Okay, so what are some of the objectives of the Unity Party of Nigeria? They intended to introduce free education at all levels. Remember that they introduced that universal basic education during the regime of Obafemi Awolowo as premier, and also during some other regimes, during the period of Obafemi Awolowo as premier, as well as so many other periods, and they introduced this in the southwestern region. So their intention was to expand it across the various states within the country. They also intended to pursue free medical services for all, to provide employment for the people, and to pursue rural integrated programs. They were focused on regional development rather than looking at things on national perspective. The reason for this is that if the regions are not able to develop, the nation will not be able to develop as a whole. So this was one of their primary objectives. Some of their achievements include they promoted free education in all states won by the Unity Party of Nigeria. So for all the states that they were able to win, they were able to promote that free education, especially at the primary level. They also invested in rural development and infrastructure. They provided programs such as free medical services, gainful employment, and rural integrated programs. They also advocated for economic self-reliance and acted as a strong opposition to the ruling party. So, though there was no official opposition as we see in a parliamentary system of government, the Unity Party of Nigeria still acted as an opposition. They acted as a watchdog and continued to criticize the activities of the National Party of Nigeria, which was in power at that time. So some of the weaknesses of the Unity Party of Nigeria is that it had a limited national reach, as it was perceived as a Yoruba party. It also had internal party disputes, which weakened its unity. Now let's move on to the next slide. Right now we're going to discuss the Nigerian People's Party, or NPP. So the Nigerian People's Party was created in 1978 as well by Ibrahim Waziri, Chief Adeniro Ogunsoya, Dr. Obi Wali, Chief J. Nwobodo, and Chief Sam Mbakwe. So the choice of presidential candidate was Dr. Nnamdi Azikiwe. However, Ibrahim Waziri, who was the founder of the political party, was not okay with this choice, and so he left the party. The ideology of this party was liberal democracy. They had a national outlook and advocated for economic progress. So they were more progressive in nature than the conservative NPN, or National Party of Nigeria. So the NPP won the governorship election in 3 states, that's Anambra, Imo, and Plateau states, and had significant support in the East and the Middle Belt. Let's move on to the next slide. All right, so what are the objectives of the NPP? One of their objectives is to promote unity, sovereignty, and the territorial integrity of Nigeria. They also wanted to promote the rights of individuals in the society and to enhance the rule of law and equal justice. They also wanted to promote a self-reliant economy with equitable distribution of gains of economic development within the political system. So we can see most of these political parties were geared towards developing the economy because at that time, the economy was in a state of decline. Some of the achievements of the NPP was that they promoted infrastructural development in the East, they championed national unity and economic empowerment, and they cooperated and worked with the NPN to ensure a sustainable Second Republic. So you can see in a sense that there was some form of coalition between the NPN and the NPP. They worked together both in the legislature and the executive. So some of the weaknesses of these political parties is that they lacked grassroots support outside of the East and Middle Belt, and leadership conflicts also weakened the party. Let's move on to the next slide. Now we are going to discuss one of the minor political parties during the Second Republic. So the People's Redemption Party, or PRP, was created in 1978 as well by Malam Aminu Kano. So he was the party's national chairman and presidential candidate. The ideology of the party was socialism. They advocated for mass participation and anti-corruption. We can see that this is the ideology that characterizes Malam Aminu Kano. During that post-World War II era, his political party was also focused on progressive socialism, trying to integrate the people, the needs of the people, put the needs of the people first in its agenda. So PRP was a minority political party and only succeeded in winning governorship election in 2 states, Kano and Kaduna states. So they had a strong grassroots support in the north. The achievements of the PRP includes they advocated for the rights of workers and the poor. So this is part of this socialist ideology. They also implemented people-oriented policies in Kano and Kaduna. So it was focused on developing the people themselves. So the weaknesses of the political parties is that they had limited national spread and strong opposition from elite political figures. Let's move on to the next slide. Right now we're going to discuss another minor political party, the Great Nigerian People's Party. So the GNPP was created in 1978 by Alhaji Ibrahim Waziri after he left the NPP because of the quarrels over the presidential candidates and chairmanship positions. So he was both the leader and presidential candidate. The party's ideology is moderate nationalism with regional developments. So since it was a minority party, it won governorship election in Borno and Gongola states and had notable support in the northeast. The party pushed for greater economic development in the northeast, however, it had limited national influence. Let's move on to the next slide. All right, we're also going to discuss the Nigerian Advanced Party, or NNP. This is another minor political party. It was created by Mr. Tunji Braithwaite, a Lagos-based lawyer. It was created after the 1979 general election and contested the 1983 election. The party's ideology is progressivism and it advocated for anti-corruption and social justice. So the party was a minority party and did not win any major election but influenced political discourse. So Mr. Tunji Braithwaite was a major activist during that period. He contested so many of the decisions made by the government in power. So the party advocated for a more inclusive political system but lacked widespread support. So we've come to the end of this segment of the video lesson. I believe it was educative and insightful. If you would like to continue on this journey with us, please go down to the link in the description below. This takes you to my school website where you can subscribe for the government topic by topic video lesson. There you can continue on this journey with us. So we're going to move on to the 3rd Republican and 4th Republican political parties and discuss some of those political parties, their achievements, their contributions, and their weaknesses. I hope to see you there. I believe you're enjoying this content. If yes, please do not forget to hit the like button, click on the subscribe button, and lastly, tap on the notification bell to get informed as soon as we release next videos.